Hey, what's up, y'all? Today we are going to take a look at my friend Hugo's commander deck. This is Arabo Roar of the World. I'm just going to go through and check out what creatures he has in his deck, instant sorceries, artifacts, and his mana base too, just to see kind of like where the deck is sitting at and see if there's anything that we can add or remove to increase its effectiveness in battle. So let's take a look at Arabo first. So Arabo, Roar of the World, he is 3 generic and Selesnya, so a green and a white. He's a legendary creature cat avatar that has Eminence. So this is a pretty bonkers, I don't even know if to call this an ability or if this is like a static thing from the command zone. Let me know in the comments if anyone knows. But anyway, his Eminence says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, if Arabo Roar of the World is in the command zone or on the battlefield, another target cat you control gets +3/+3 until end of turn. So we definitely want to be aggressive because we are getting this Eminence ability every single combat and we're not having to pay any mana into it. Now, if Arabo is out on the battlefield, he's got the second bit here where it says, whenever another cat you control attacks, you may pay 1 in Selesnya. If you do, it gains trample and gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is its power. It's a 5/5. So you would do the Eminence, and then you would have the ability to pay that additional cost as long as Arabo's out on the battlefield. So pretty powerful commander. I know a while back, I think it was banned as commander in 1v1 commander. I have to double check. I don't know if it ever got unbanned or anything, but I know that that was a thing. But in this case, my buddy Hugo is playing this, in normal 4-player pods. So we'll start taking a look at some of the creatures here. So he's got, for 1-drops, he's got an Oscillate Pride. This is from Modern Horizons 3. So very efficient cat. I mean, I've played with this deck before, and if you have this turn 1, it feels great because you're able to, get this puppy out, or should I say kitty out. First strike and lifelink, has Ascend, which does play a factor into this because you do end up creating some tokens off of it, which is awesome once you have the city's blessing. So that's a big deal. And right away, if you're able to get the Oscillate Pride out on turn 1, you can then do Arabo's Eminence ability on it, and it becomes a 4/4 with first strike and lifelink. That's a really good level of aggression, and first strike and lifelink, I mean, it's wonderful. So Oscillate Pride is great. I'll have to check to see if there are more 1-drop cats. I don't want to add too many to the deck because I feel like you're going to end up getting kind of blown out because, 1 mana anything is usually not very strong, when it comes to creatures. But we'll move on to the 2 mana slots here. So Fleece Mane Lion, creature cat. It's got this monstrosity ability, and if you make it monstrous, it gets hexproof and indestructible. Again, interacting very well with Arabo in general. So as you can see, this is more or less a cat, tribal, typal, whatever it is that we're calling it now. So we now have a white Mane Lion for 1 and a white, has flash, which is kind of cool, can come in and just kind of be a surprise blocker. When it comes into play, you return a creature you control to its owner's hand. So if there are any ETBs off of another creature, you can kind of, get that creature back to your hand and then replay it again. It's a 2/2. Outside of that, I mean, it's pretty vanilla. It doesn't have any keywords or anything. So I don't know. I'll have to see how it plays in the deck to see if there's enough creatures with ETBs that would warrant having that in the deck still. Next up is Scythe Cat Cub for 1 and a green. It's got Trample. It's got Landfall. That's neat. I know that this deck doesn't have a whole lot of mana ramp, so that's something that I'm already, kind of thinking about, hey, what additional ramp can we add to this? But we'll take a look at that once we get there. So this has Trample, Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature control. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, you double the number of +1/+1 counters on that creature instead. Very powerful ability. Definitely get your lands down. You're going to see a lot of benefit from that guy. Then we have Qasali Pride Mage, green and a white, has Exalted. That's not really going to matter a whole lot, I suppose. For 1, you can sacrifice it and destroy target artifact or enchantment, and it's a 2/2. So again, you get this down on turn 2. Attack in, it becomes a 5/5 with Arabo. Again, this doesn't have any keywords or anything, but it makes for a very effective blocker. And then you sack it, and then you're able to get some value off of destroying an artifact or enchantment. So that's kind of neat. Then we got Kemba in this funky black and white artwork. Not sure what's going on here. I guess it's kind of a sketch. For 1 and a white, it's a legendary creature cat cleric. When Kemba, Enduring, or another cat enters the battlefield under your control, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to that creature. That's cool because there are a lot of equipments in this deck. And equipped creatures you control get +1/+1, and then it's also a token generator. So a lot of value off of that card, actually. I think that that's a very strong creature in this deck. So I'm glad that my buddy has included that. Then we have Lost Leonin, a little bit of a meme, I suppose. 2-drop for 2/1. It's not great, but it does have that term that everyone hates. Honestly, I don't mind it personally, but it has Infect. So if you're not familiar with Infect, this creature, instead of dealing damage to a player, it does damage in the form of poison counters instead. So instead of dealing 2 damage to a player's life total, it'll give them 2 poison counters, and they take no damage to their total life total. I know, that starts to get kind of confusing. But if a player does hit 10 infect counters, they are knocked out from the game. So I know that in Commander, a lot of people are saying that we should be moving over to 20 infect instead of 10. I think it's fine. I think usually infect decks will fold, to the 3 other people at the table. And if the 3 other people are not capable of handling that deck and that player, then, so be it. But that being said, I have been able to resolve this, turn him into a 5/4 and attack in, right on, what would that be, like turn 3, I suppose. And then I attach an artifact to him or an equipment, and all of a sudden he becomes a major threat. So kind of cool that, it's kind of a game ender in a card as long as you're able to, make things happen. As long as like the stars kind of align for you. It's kind of the dream is to, take someone out really early in the game, right? So next up we have Adorn Pouncer for 1 and a white. It's a cool shiny cat that we have here. Has double strike and Eternalize. This being a full art, kind of extended art thing. Doesn't explain Eternalize. I think Eternalize is if this cat is in the graveyard, or if this creature is in the graveyard, you can pay that, and then it comes back as a 4/4 zombie. It's a copy of it, I believe, anyway. I'll include a note if I'm wrong anyway, but double strike 1/1 for 2. So the stats, again, aren't, they don't seem super great, but take into consideration that Arabo is giving everything +3/+3 once you get to combat. So all of a sudden you have a 4/4 with double strike. Someone could potentially be getting hit for 8 very early on. So nice card. Plus the artwork is fantastic, man. Honestly, the artwork in this game is great. Then we have Kemba, Ka Regent, 1 and 2 white, legendary creature cat. At the beginning of your upkeep, you create a 2/2 white cat creature token for each equipment attached to Kemba, Ka Regent. So again, there are a lot of artifacts and equipments in this deck, so you may get some value off of it. It's a 2/4. If I'm being totally honest, I feel kind of uneasy about the card because it's very situational in regards to getting any sort of value, because what happens if you don't have any equipment, or what happens if your equipments get blown up or something. All of a sudden you're going to be stuck with a 3 mana 2/4, which is, with Arabo, it's going to be a what is that, a 4, 5, 6, 7, 5/7. So, not a bad rate, but you don't really have a way of, getting across damage in any way that's like super significant, unless you equip them, I suppose, because there are some equipments that can make things unblockable or give them flying and stuff. I'm not super hot on that card, but so be it. And he's got Cursor of Krufix for 1 and 2 green. So this is not a cat, it's a centaur. I think that he has this card in the deck in order to get some, I don't want to call it card advantage. I guess it's just to get some lands down. It's a good utility in a way, because you're able to look at the top card of your library, so you can kind of craft your turns, prior to, kind of plan a turn ahead, if you want to look at it like that. And also you can play lands from the top of your library, which is neat. But again, you're running Selesnya, you're running green, you can just kind of ramp out lands, and maybe we can find like a cat that's better than Courser in this case. And then whenever a land enters the battlefield under control, you gain 1 life. So it's it's kind of there for utility, but Arabo can't target it. I would probably remove it personally. Probably just replace it with, let's say, like a Rampant Growth or a Kodama's Reach potentially. But let's see what ramp he has, right? So then we have Arabo the First Fang. I believe that this is from Foundations, maybe? Or is this like a special guest? I'm not sure where this is from. I think it was originally printed in one of the Modern Horizons series. Anyway, 2 and a white. Other cats you control get +1/+1. That's fantastic. Whenever a Arabo or another non-token cat you control enters, you create a 1/1 white creature token. Very solid. So 3 mana, 2/2, for a Lord. Perfect. It's got the second bit there. Fits the theme because it's Arabo. Card is great. I don't have much to say outside of excellent, Then we have King of the Pride. 2 and a white for another cat. Other cats you control get +2/+1. This is from Modern Horizons 1. It's a 2/1. Great value. 3 mana for 2/1. Other cats getting +2/+1. That's sick. Then we got Miri, Cat Warrior for 1 and 2 green. She's got First Strike, Forest Walk, Vigilance, 2/3. If you're playing Commander, there's a good chance that your opponents are going to be playing Forest. So all of a sudden she is unblockable, and that's a big deal. Also, this deck in itself, I know that now they have tiers or categories or something. I don't even know what they're calling it now for determining decks power levels. I'd say that this is probably kind of like a mid-tier deck. You know what I mean? It's not like this isn't EDH. We don't really play any of that. It's just more kind of a casual environment that I find myself in, but we do like playing with cards that have some impact in the game and that are higher value and stuff. So up next we got Kutsil Malamet Exemplar. That was kind of hard to say. So 1 and Selesnya, legendary creature, Cat Warrior. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, so that's awesome for shutting off counter spells, cutting off other shenanigans that people will for sure be playing in Commander. And whenever 1 or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. It's a 3/3, so it's some potential card draw. I don't know. I'd have to sit here and take a look at all the creatures in this deck and their power and toughness and whatnot. But to see how effective that is, that's something I'll probably do after the fact. But I mean, it seems like a fine card. Brismas, King of Oreskos for 1 and 2 white. Vigilance, love that. Whenever he attacks, you put a +1/+1, you put a 1/1 white cat soldier creature token with Vigilance onto the battlefield attacking. And whenever Brismas blocks a creature, you put a 1/1 white cat soldier creature token with Vigilance onto the battlefield, blocking that creature. It's kind of just like an army in a can. I think this is a great mythic. It's an awesome choice, Hugo, for including that. And then kudos for including Prowling Serpapard. I don't know. How do you pronounce that? 1 and 2 green. It's a cat snake. Can't be countered. That's phenomenal. And creature spells you control can't be countered. So this is definitely one of those cards that if you see it early in your hand, you're going to want to keep it. I mean, this would definitely influence, my starting hand for sure. And I would be super, super happy to, resolve this as well. So, I mean, it can't be countered. It can be bounced back to your hand, I suppose. So there are ways to interact with that good old stack. But, Pride Sovereign, so 2 and a green. It's a cat, and it gets +1/+1 for each other cat you control. Nice. And for 1 white, you can tap them and you can exert them. You create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. That's nice. And 3 mana, 2/2. Again, the rate's not super great, but he does get pumped up for each other cat that you control. So it's a good pick right there. Then we got Feline Sovereign. Gotta make sure that these cards are actually in the frame of the camera here. 2 and a green. It's for cats. Other cats you control get +1/+1 and have protection from dogs. I don't know how many dog decks or cat dog decks you're going to run into. So that is a flavor win. I don't know how effective that is, but you may, who knows? Someone might be running a dog, a commander deck or something. And then whenever one or more cats you control deal combat damage to a player, destroy up to one target artifact or enchantment that player controls. So that's some great, you know, artifact enchantment hate built into this creature. I approve. It's got my stamp of approval. Awesome. Then we got Miri, Weatherlight Duelist for 1 and Selesnya again. First strike, when she attacks, each opponent can't block with more than one creature this combat. So making it difficult for your opponents to block. And as long as she's tapped, no more than one creature can attack you each combat. So very, very Selesnya in the sense of it being kind of, well, it being kind of punishing for opponents. You know what I mean? It's almost like, I don't know, it's kind of like a light stacks piece, which is cool. And the fact that she has first strike, I mean, that's going to be awesome in, like any game that you play. And if you equip her with some artifacts, then target her with Arabo's ability, this is actually a really challenging card to deal with. I have definitely gotten my butt kicked by Miri multiple times when I've played against Hugo. So up next is Sky Hunter Skirmisher for 1 and 2 white, Cat Knight, flying in double strike, and it's a 1/1. 3 mana 1/1, but it does have flying and it does have double strike. Again, it seems like there's a big focus, or there is going to be a big focus on equipment here, so we'll get to it soon. Then I got a Leonin Abunis for 3 and a white, Cat Cleric. Artifacts you control have hexproof. That's sick. That is really nice. And it's a 2/5. Stats, it's got a big butt, not much of an attacker. But you know what? Artifacts having hexproof, that's huge because you're going to have a lot of artifacts in this deck, and you'll see them in a minute here. So we got Trove Warden for 2 and 2 white. Cat Beast, Vigilance, has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under control, exile target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. When he dies, put each permanent card exiled with it onto the battlefield under the control of that card's owner. And it's a 3/4. Let me digest this a little bit. So whenever a land enters under your control, you exile target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. Okay, so let's say that I exile Miri from my graveyard, right? When this dude dies, you put each permanent card exiled with it onto the battlefield under the control of that card's owner. So then when Trove Warden gets killed, Miri comes back, and anything else that was exiled through Trove Warden's landfall gets exiled as well. Can this actually be political? Because it says, oh no, it says from your graveyard. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your graveyard. Okay. When it dies, put each permanent card exiled with it onto that. Okay, so looks like that's only going to affect you unless your opponent steals this or something potentially. Then maybe that's a way for them to get stuff back too. I don't know. I'll have to dig into the rules on that one. Then we got this waifu cat lady. So we have Balin Wandering Knight for 2 and 2 white. Legendary creature cat knight, has first strike. Nice. She has double strike as long as 2 or more equipments are attached to it. So again, becomes extremely powerful if you're able to get those equipments and if you're able to keep those equipments out. And then for 1 and a white, you can attach all equipments you control to Balin, and she's a 3/3. So that is sick because that's instant speed. It's a good rate too for an ability like that. And it's all equipments you control. So the way I'm understanding that is, even if you have other cats that are equipped, you can pay the 2 at instant speed and toss everything onto Balin. So I wonder, like, if you're attacking in with her and a couple other creatures and they're all equipped, let's say that someone foolishly doesn't block her, you can then move all of the equipment to her at instant speed. Seems like you can do a lot of tricky things. Although, I mean, it's telegraphed because it's right there. So, people are going to definitely try to interact with her or block her and the whole deal. But cool that, it's got that ability built into it. So then we have Set's Tiger for 2 and 2 white. It's a creature cat that has flash. When it enters the battlefield, you gain protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. And it's a 3/3. So this is a nice way to fade burn spells. It's a nice way to fade, spells that are going to force you to discard stuff, as long as it's targeting you. Now, if it says all players must do X, Y, and Z, then this isn't going to do anything for you. But strong card. I like that it has flash because you can do that in response to someone trying to do some shenanigans towards you, which is great. Prowling Felidar, we got 3 and a white for a vigilance cat beast that has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it's a 2/3. Hey, love that. It's going to keep growing every single turn because you're going to hopefully, be hitting all of your land drops if the magic gods are with us, which sometimes the gods are fickle. Then we have a Felidar Savior. It's 3 and a white for a cat beast that has lifelink. And when this creature enters, you put you put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 other target creatures you control. So comes in, can pump up some creatures a little bit, and it's a 2/3, and that artwork is sick. I feel like this is, for it being a common, like that artwork is phenomenal. And I feel like that's a big thing in this game, is a lot of like really just beautiful or stunning or even like, terrifying artwork that is, I mean, it's awesome. I like scary stuff. Always ends up on like commons and uncommons, and since it's not on a mythic, it's not cool or whatever. And I think it's always good to kind of sit back and enjoy some of the artwork that is in this game, because it's easy to miss. Some of these, I don't know, the cards are kind of small, and some of the, I wish. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, like, sometimes it can be a little difficult to miss. It's easy to miss the fine details in the artwork. There, I'll get off my soapbox. That's it. All right, Prowling Felidar, 3 and a white for full art. Sort of. Just kidding. It's not full art. It's just got kind of a fun frame to it. It's a cat beast that has a vigilance, and it has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Prowling Felidar, and it's a 2/3. So vigilance, landfall, gets bigger. Arabo can target it. Perfect. Leonin, War Leader for 2 and double white for a cat soldier. When it attacks, you create 2/1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink that are tapped and attacking. That's nice. And it's a 4/4. Hey, solid. Armored Sky Hunter, 3 and a white for a cat knight. It has flying, and it has this whole essay written on it. I don't know if I want to read all that. So it looks like when it attacks, you look at the top 6 cards of your library. You can then put an aura or equipment card onto the battlefield. If an equipment is put onto the battlefield this way, you may attach it to a creature you control. So you can attach it to itself. And then you put the rest of those cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So I think this is actually really strong, man. And yeah, I think this was from Commander Masters or whatever that set was. Yeah, this is really strong. I mean, you're digging 6 cards deep, really good chance that you're going to hit an aura or an equipment. And you're hoping to hit an equipment so that you can attach it, right away, or you can attach it to whatever, big threatening kitty cat that you have. I think that is a solid card. It has flying, which is interesting as well. I mean, that's great. Evasion is always going to be wonderful in this game. A flavor perspective, the cat itself doesn't have flying, right? Because this looks like it's like some sort of dinosaur or something. Whatever. I won't overthink it, but I mean, it's cool. I mean, it is a sky hunter, so, he's a pilot kind of. Then we have Regal Caracal, 3 and 2 white. It's a cat. Other cats you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, you create 2/1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink, and it's a 3/3. So it's an Almond Cat All-Star. It's a Lord, and it is also coming in with 2 tokens, 2/1/1 tokens. So that would be how much power and toughness? How much power is that? 1, 2, 3. The 2 cats are 1/1s. But they're 2/2s because of this being a Lord. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. So you have 7 points of power for 5 mana. Solid. Oh, and they get lifelink too. Dang. All right. I see you, Regal. That's awesome. And we got Quasali Slingers, 4 and a green for a cat warrior that has a reach. And when he or they, them, or another cat enters the battlefield under your control, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's a 3/5. Hey, that is really good. Gonna definitely be wanting to blow up your opponent's stuff. So, and this is the last cat. Wow, took a while to get here. Sorry, I'll try to get through the rest of the deck a bit faster. But Felidar Sovereign, 4 and 2 white, cat beast that has vigilance and lifelink. I think most of us are familiar with this card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game. I have seen people play this card a lot and win, so it's kind of an underrated card. And be careful if it's out on the battlefield, especially if you're playing against a deck that, is a life gain deck, because this will steal games kind of out of nowhere. And it's a 4/6, so that is the most expensive cat that he has from a mana value or converted mana cost perspective. So now we're going into the instance. We got Swords to Plowshare, some good removal here. Exile target creature, good to go. Path to Exile, also kind of redundant, but in this case, exile creature, and then the opponent searches for a basic land, comes in tapped. Heroic Intervention, I think, is going to be an all-star in this deck. For 1 and a green, permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Fantastic include. I think that, especially with creature-heavy decks, I think having more ways of saving your creatures is a big deal. So if there are more cards that have that effect, we'll definitely consider adding them. Generous Gift, just to get rid of permanents, and you end up giving your opponent an elephant, which is sick. And then we got Teferi's Protection, everyone's favorite, or everyone's bane, I guess. 2 and a white, you phase out until an end. Your life total can't change, and you gain protection from everything. All permanents you control phase out, so that is pretty cool. Nice little protection right there. If you can get Teferi's Protection, run it. It's phenomenal. If you're running a deck that has white, add it for sure. Settle the Wreckage, 2 and 2 white. Very defensive spell here. So at instant speed, you can exile all attacking creatures target player controls. That player may search his or her library for that many basic land cards to put them onto battlefield tapped. So this is a good way of kind of just like protecting your ass if you have committed to attacking into one player and the next player is like, oh, I'm going to come in and hit you pretty hard, and you play that. And trust me, I've been on the receiving end of this. It feels horrible, man. But I think that's a great include in this deck. Then we got an Chroma's Will for 3 and a white. It's an instant where if you have your commander out, it gets better. So you can choose one. If you control your commander, you can choose both of these options. So creatures you control gain flying, vigilance, and double strike until end of turn. Creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors until end of turn. I think this is essentially just a 4 mana. You're going to win the game. If you're casting this, good chance you have the game in the bag. So great include. Return to Dust, 2 and 2 white for an instant. You remove target artifact or enchantment from the game. If you played the spell during your main phase, you may remove up to 1 other target artifact or enchantment from the game. So some nice artifact and enchantment hate. Love to see it. Return to the Wild Speaker, some card draw for 5 mana. You choose one. You draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. Keep that in mind, because I've seen a lot of people play this and they target a human creature and they're not able to get any value from it. Then the second part here is non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. So I think this is awesome. This is a card that I actually included for them. So some extra card draw, perfect. You need plenty of card draw. And it's also a potential win condition as well. You can potentially, pump up all your creatures and take someone out. Now we're going to go into the sorceries. Steel Shaper's Gift for 1 white. This is a sorcery that lets you search your library for an equipment card, reveal that card, and put it into your hand. Then you shuffle your library. So this is one of those tutors that I don't see played a whole lot. I mean, I guess you have to really have a lot of equipments in your deck for it to be good. But then we have Cultivate for 2 and a green. It's a sorcery. You guys know what this is. Search for up to 2 basic land cards, put one onto the battlefield, one into your hand, and then you shuffle. So, got 1 bit of mana ramp. Wrath of God, 2 and a little white for sorcery, destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. I don't know how I feel when it comes to like playing creature heavy decks and then having these types of, destroy everything. I mean, I guess you have to run those types of, board wipes, kind of reset the game itself, cards in every single commander deck. I mean, they do even in CEDH, right? So I don't know, kind of makes the games a bit longer, but I mean, it's a good, like emergency button that you can hit. Then we have Cleansing Nova, slightly more expensive Wrath of God, I guess, but you can choose one, destroy all creatures, or you can destroy all artifacts and enchantments. The only thing here is that the creatures can be regenerated, but I don't see a lot of, creatures with regeneration being played, at least like in the metas that I've been in. Up next, we're getting into, this is also an enchantment. I thought this was an artifact. Okay. So Captain America's Aid for 1 white. It's actually Sigarda's Aid. This is pretty cool. I know that Hugo's a big fan of Captain America, and we've been playing Marvel Rivals, and I think he mains Captain America. It's always fun to play with him. So enchantment, you may cast aura and equipment spells as though they had flash. So that's great. That is actually really awesome. Whenever an equipment you control enters, you may attach to target creature you control. So you're going to be able to do some like end step shenanigans. You're going to be able to get those cats nice and plump. A couple more enchantments by the looks of it. So you have Retreat to Kazandu for 2 and a green. It's an enchantment that has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or you can gain 2 life. So this is one of those enchantments that I would probably suggest cutting out and maybe adding like, I mean, this is wild because it's so expensive now, but like the Great Henge, I think would be awesome because you're going to be gaining life with the Great Henge. And I'll include a screenshot of it here as well. But you're going to gain life. You're going to, be able to draw some cards. And I think the Great Henge has like a couple more things that it does. I mean, this is fine as like a budget thing. Gaining the 2 life is, I don't know, it's whatever. Smothering Tithe, awesome card. 3 and a white. Enchantment, whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. That player doesn't. You create a treasure token. I think the SpongeBob Secret Lair had Smothering Tithe as a like secret extra slot card or whatever they're calling it. And I think it has Mr. Krabs. There we go. It has Mr. Krabs as the artwork. You guys should check it out. I think that card's actually worth a pretty penny too. Another enchantment, Felidar Retreat, 3 and a white. Flavor win for sure. I mean, it's got these beautiful cats in the background here. Landfall, whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you can choose one. You can create a 2/2 white cat beast creature token, or you can put a +1/+1 on each creature you control. Those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. Definitely keep this enchantment in here. I mean, you're creating cats, or you are making your cats bigger, and what else happens here? They also gain vigilance until end of turn. Wow. That's nice. So moving to artifacts, we got Commander's Plate for 1. It is the Iron Man suit here, which is actually my Marvel Rivals main, interestingly enough. Don't hate me too much for that, but artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has protection from each color that's not in your commander's color identity. Equip Commander 3 and equip in general for 5. So the way that works is, in this case, if Arabo was out, you could equip it to Arabo for 3, and Arabo becomes an 8/8, has protection from each color that's not in the commander's color identity. So it would have protection from red, black, blue, and that's it. Does not have protection from green or white. So keep that in mind and play it correctly. But that seems like a fine card. I guess I'm a little torn because I don't know how often you're going to have Arabo out on the battlefield because it has eminence. You know what I mean? Like, you're always getting value off of it. And that's how I've always felt kind of conflicted with the Eminence commanders. Like I used to have an Dragon deck, and man, I probably casted Dragon in a game of like, I don't know, like 100 times I played with that deck. I only casted Dragon maybe like probably less than 10 times, to be totally honest, because Dragon, and I'm going down like getting way off topic here, but Dragon gives you like, I think a little bit of a discount. I think it's just like 1 mana discount on dragons or whatever. So, you know, it's extremely powerful. All of these 2017 commanders are just like nuts. Let's just get back to the artifacts, right? So we got Soul Ring for 1. It's an artifact that you can tap. You guys know what Soul Ring does. Why am I reading that? That artwork's cool though. I think that's Tony Stark's like core heart thing or whatever. Swiftfoot Boots for 2. Crypt creature has hexproof and haste, and you can equip for 1. So that is perfect in this deck. Conqueror's Flail. I don't see this card a whole lot. So 2 generic for artifact equipment. Crypt creature gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control. So it's only going to be able to get +2/+2 because you're only going to control green and white for the most part, right? Unless something, it's commander. Something goofy can happen and all of a sudden you gain control of a creature that has Wooburg. So, you know, the card becomes significantly better. As long as Conqueror's Flail is attached to a creature, your opponents can cast spells during your turn. Okay, so I think he's playing it for the second ability. You know, 2 mana to cast, 2 mana to equip. So 4 mana for, you know, getting your creature +2/+2 doesn't seem great, but the second ability is really nice actually. As long as it's attached though, it's not like it's, you know, like an evergreen kind of thing. It has to be attached to something. So hopefully your opponents aren't just like, you know, completely taking out your entire board. Up next is Sword of the Animus for 2. So he does have Cultivate, and he has Sword of the Animus for ramp. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto battlefield tapped. This is a card that I kind of feel is underplayed a little bit. Now, that being said, +1/+1, you know, it's not, giving a creature +1/+1 isn't anything to like really write home about, if I'm being totally honest. Being able to ramp every time you attack is sweet, but I think to myself, like, would it make more sense to just have like a Kadama's Reach or a Ramping Growth, or I don't know, something else maybe, because like you're already in green, you know. I feel like there's more effective ways of getting, you know, mana ramp, but we'll see how it plays out. I mean, the times that I've played with this deck, I haven't used Sword of the Animus, so maybe I'm missing something there. Then we have Lightning Greaves, 2 generic. A quick creature has haste and shroud. Now, something I do want to mention with Lightning Greaves that you have to be careful with Arabo. This is something that has taken me by surprise, is the following here. Let's see if I can get these cards in frame. So let's say that I have this king here, right? And I equip him for 0. Now, he has haste and he has shroud. Shroud is not hexproof. It's completely different. Similar, but different. It can't be the target of spells or abilities. So what happens is I attach the Lightning Greaves because I want to give the king haste to attack right away. I go to my combat step. At the beginning of my combat step, I'm like, hey, I'm going to target the king with Arabo. I can't do that because he has Shroud now, which means that he can't be the target of spells or abilities. So you kind of have to like finesse it a little bit when you're playing with Lightning Greaves and Arabo's interaction. It's a non-bow, but there are ways of making sure that, you know, like you get some value off of it. You know, you can remove Lightning Greaves, move it over to another creature, and then attack in, and then you know, get Arabo's ability, and then move the Lightning Greaves from the Cat 2 back to Cat 1. So, you know, there's some things like that. There's some strategy that's involved with that, but just be careful, and yeah, make sure to call out people, because I feel like a lot of people, especially new players, like they don't understand the way that Shroud works, right? You don't see it a whole lot, so keep that in mind. Then we got Celestial Armor for 2 and a white. Artifact equipment that has flash. When this equipment enters You attach it to target creature you control. That creature gains hexproof and indestructible. Wonderful. A equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has flying and equip cost of 4. So love it that it has flash. When it enters, oh, you attach it to target creature you control. Oh, wow. So you attach it right away as it comes in. Wow, this is nuts, dude. And equipped creature gets +2 and has flying. Nice. Very, very nice. Okay. I see you, Hugo. That's a wonderful card to include here. And we got a couple swords. Sword of Sinew and Steel for 3. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from black and from red. So that's kind of nice. Definitely, black has a ton of removal, and that's great. If you have this attached to a cat that is doing some work. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy up to 1 target planeswalker and up to 1 target artifact. Destroy up to 1 and up to 1. Okay. I don't know how many planeswalkers are being played anymore in Commander. If someone is playing a planeswalker as their commander, you totally crap on them with this, which is cool. And destroying an artifact is great. I think that really, like, the reason for the swords is you're able to pump up a little bit, or at least for this sword, make your creature a little stronger. That protection from black and from red. I think the protection from black is going to be more significant when it comes to removal. But if your cat has protection from those colors can't block. They can't interact with it. So, yeah, you can definitely just like crap on someone. Herald's Horn, 3 generic for an artifact. As it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. Creature spells you cast of that chosen type cost 1 less. And at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. So that is a trigger that has to happen every single turn. So this is some card advantage. It's a little bit of a discount too for the cats. The cats for the most part in this deck aren't very expensive. We have 1 cat that's 6 mana. Our commander is only 5. We're not going to be casting him a whole lot. I think Hugo has included Herald's Horn here more for like the potential card advantage of, seeing that, hey, I got a cat, revealing it, putting it into my hand. That's one thing that I'm kind of noticing when I'm going through this now is I think that he's lacking some card draw. So I'll have to look into like card draw options. Let's keep going. So Maul of the Skyclaves. 2 and a white for an equipment. When it enters, attach it to target creature you control. And equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has flying and first strike. Nice. And you equip it for 4. So that equip cost is kind of high, but when it's entering, you attach it right away. So I'm seeing this theme of, like these artifact equipments getting right onto the cat. I mean, that's sick, man. I don't know. That's actually pretty cool. Mace of the Valiant, we have 2 and a white for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each charge counter on this artifact. And then whenever a creature you control enters, you put a charge counter on it and you equip it for 3. I don't know. I kind of feel like there's probably better artifacts out there. Whenever a creature you control enters, you put a charge counter. It gets for each charge counter. So when you play this doesn't have any charge. It doesn't enter with any charge counters. And then you're equipping it for 3, and then you're waiting for more creatures to enter to essentially activate this. No. Hugo, toss this card out, man. I don't like that. That's not good. I'm not even going to try to like justify it. That's not a good card. Sword of Once and Future for 3. I've never actually seen this card before. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from blue and from black. That's nice. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you surveil 2. Then you may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. So that spell would be put it to your graveyard and exile it instead. Okay. I don't know. I mean, you, the viewer. Let me break the fourth wall here. What do you guys think? It's a sword, and I think a creature getting +2/+2 and getting protection from blue and black is nice. I feel like Surveil in this deck doesn't really do anything, and being able to kind of, have some, being able to, what's the word I'm trying to say here? Recur. Some of the sorceries or instants that you have in your graveyard, I don't know. I feel like this in theory should be good, but I don't think that the deck is set up in a way where you're taking full advantage of it. So Hugo, I may suggest swapping this out for something else. I'm also not seeing a lot of ways of getting stuff from your graveyard, which is a concern to me because I'm thinking to myself like maybe something like an Eternal Witness or like a Noxious Revival, or even a Praetor's Console. I know that card's kind of a meme, but being able to, because you're going to get board wiped a lot. I mean, that's the issue with this deck, right? The deck itself is really fun and it's really cool, but once a board wipe hits, it feels horrible. Like you feel like you're just like completely out of the game, and I know that tends to happen a lot with these kind of creature decks and stuff. But yeah, you have to be careful. I guess like what I'm trying to say is like you can't overcommit creatures with this deck. You have to be very strategic with the creatures that you're putting down, the artifacts or the equipment that you're attaching to them, and the way that you're attacking. I think if you are a very political player, you're going to do well with this deck because you'll be able to kind of do some favors for your opponents and stuff because you have enough cards that when a creature enters, destroy target artifact or enchantment. I've had those conversations at the table where it's like, what do I blow up? Or, hey, I played that Regal Caracal and now I have, 3 triggers on the stack. Like, what 3 things do I blow up? So that I love that. I mean, I love the politics of Commander. Honestly, I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah, whatever. Okay, Leyline Axe for 4. It's an artifact equipment. If this card is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. That's interesting. And equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has double strike and trample. Damn. Equip cost for 3. Yeah, I think this is solid. I like it better than the Sword of Once and Future for sure. And, you may have some games where you start off with it and boom, you're off to the races. So we are getting down to the lands here. So we got Arch of Oraska. This is actually a card that I added. And again, let me know in the comments whether or not you think this is a good pick. Now, we're only running 2 colors. So we're able to kind of justify adding some more utility lands. In this case, this only taps for a colorless mana. Really, I added it because I wanted Hugo to have the ability to draw some more cards. So once you have the City's Blessing, which means that you at some point in the game had 10 permanents or more, you get the City's Blessing, which is an emblem, I think, that there's no way to get rid of it. So once you have it, you have it. And that activates the second ability where you pay 5 mana, you can tap the Arch, and then you can draw a card. So, you're going to be able to draw essentially like 1 card extra every single turn with it. I think I like it. I mean, I've played with it before and it always works out for me. So, best Magic player in the whole world, right? Razor Verge Thicket. So taps for green or white, comes into play tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. And we have Branch Loft Pathway. So it's just one of those beautiful, man, look at that artwork, man. Look at that shine. Woo! Pathway lands, you can choose to have it enter as a forest or as a plains. Windswept Heath, nice little fetch land. Brush land being just a pain land, so you take 1 damage, you can get a forest or a plains. Temple Garden, Shock land, that's a forest plains. Bountiful Promenade, perfect. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. So if you got the monies, definitely include these in your commander decks. These are from Battle Bond, and then I think, what was it? It was one of the Dungeons and Dragons sets. Was there more than 1? Or was there only 1? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Mana Confluence. Pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color. Mana Confluence, like once you start playing a deck that's like 3 or more colors, I think it's awesome. In this case, this being just 2 colors, I'm not 100% convinced. Plus, like you're losing some life with it. It's okay. Wooded Foothills, so just another fetch land. Sun Petal Grove, check land, enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a forest or a plains. Command Tower, enough said. Overgrown farmland enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Canopy Vista, fetchable, enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Gavany Township is again another utility land, so in this case, you can pay 2 in Selesnya to tap it, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So this can actually make your creatures a bit bigger, which is neat. If you're kind of like in a situation where, you know, the whole table's at like a Mexican standoff or whatever, you can just continue to make your creatures bigger until you're inevitably board wiped, or you just go through and beat someone down, right? Exotic Orchard, add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. You're for sure, this is almost guaranteed to tap for green. I don't know about white though, because at least like with my friends, not a lot of them run white. Yavimaya Creative Growth. This is great because it's going to turn each land, well, it doesn't turn them. It just makes it so that each land is a forest in addition to its other land types, which works great with, I'm not going to dig in, try to find her, but it's great for the mono green Miri that's in there that has Forest Walk. So even if your opponent, let's say your opponent's playing like a mono red deck, all of a sudden all of those mountains are also forest, and you know that particular creature has Forest Walk and it can't be blocked by your opponent as long as they control forest. And lands are pretty tough to deal with for the most part. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 forests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plains. Total of 37 lands, I believe. So the deck itself, the times that I've played it, I've had a lot of fun. I know Hugo has a lot of fun. The win rate isn't super high. Again, I think it's because you run into situations where the deck doesn't seem to recover well from board wipes, unfortunately. I feel like some of these artifacts can be improved upon for sure. I think having some graveyard recursion would be nice. Again, you know, Eternal Witness, Noxious Revival kind of stuff would be neat. We need more mana ramp for sure. And I mean, the way I see it, it's like the deck seems like it's more geared towards 1v1s, maybe even 2v1s. But once, you know, if it's a 4-player pod, I feel like you're kind of at a disadvantage a little bit. You're definitely kind of like, it's an uphill battle. So if we can figure out a way to add some more resilience to the deck via, you know, card draw, being able to reanimate your creatures. Obviously you can't play reanimate because this reanimates black. That would be wonderful. I think mana ramp would be great too. And yeah, I mean, I think the rest of the deck looks pretty solid though. I mean, the mana base seems just fine, and the commander itself is great. I mean, honestly, I've seen Arabo do some crazy things, especially like late game. You cast them, and all of a sudden, like, you're looking at a cat that's like a 12/12 with double strike, and all of a sudden it's getting more +1/+1 counters on it, and then boom, you can't block it anymore. Like, I've lost to this deck plenty of times. So the deck has teeth, all pun intended, with the cats and everything. So the deck can definitely sneak up on you. It gets worse if you get bullied out, obviously, but I mean, that happens with any single commander deck, right? So anyway, I'm ranting. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please feel free to leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. If I'm going to try to upload this deck to like Moxfield or one of those websites or whatever, so that everyone can look at the deck list, but it may take a little while for me to do that. I've never done it before, interestingly enough. I guess I'm kind of a boomer a little bit. But anyway, let me know in the comments who your favorite commander is, and also let me know if any of you have Arabo, because I would love to see your lists and suggestions for this deck. Shout out to Hugo for letting me review your deck, and well, catch you in the next video.